Well, I tell you what, since it was getting about time to move on to another sewing project, I have decided that I would do so and finally come around to making the Walrus. I have already done a few of these, but I tell you, it's been kind of one of those days where things have been kind of different around the house. I've been tired, I've been exhausted, I've been places and had so much going on, and my parents are out of town. I'm at the house by myself and not too much going on around here. So I decided just to kind of pass some time away, I would get on here and make this video where I do some demonstration on the sewing of the walrus. We are going to first of all tie the knot in the eye of the needle with the thread like we always do, and we're coming to this little point where what you do first is you take the underside piece like I've done here and take the one of the pieces to the tusk like I've done here. Make sure that you have the front of each facing each other, have the back of each sticking out, and make sure that the inward curve of the tusk is facing the middle. That's kind of how you get it started out here. So we're going to kind of start along here, take care of one little thing here, and first of all, what you do is you sew on the first tusk. So we are going to do that here, and once it comes along, we've kind of got a long string of thread here to go right through it and kind of make the mark to go right in. So I tell you what, I'd say that we got a little knot in the thread here, so might have to pull that back a little bit. I tell you, it's just a shame this kind of thing happens all the time, but I'd say we've got it here. We're gonna run it through again just to kind of make sure we get it right in place, and that's going to make the starting knot to the project here. And then we're going to cut off the other side to the thread here. Well, I tell you what we've done here is something didn't go right here. We kind of got it where it sort of went around the thing, but I tell you, I've taken care of that now. We're going to try to break the thread on the outer side here and kind of try to make it go through. You kind of sew on these tusks one at a time, but there's a certain step you'll take later that will kind of be able to hold them together once you sew the second one on. So we're going to kind of come along with the first one here, and this will be how we will make it turn out. There's a lot of work involved in this and a lot to do, and I say once we get it all through here, we'll kind of get it made out. And you start from the middle of the tusk like I did and go to the side, then you kind of sew back along, making the thread again, and then you kind of start to sew towards the middle, just sew along the line that has been drawn like I demonstrated in the video where I was cutting the pieces out. And like I say, of course, this lady, she donated her mother's clothing to have these made from. It was a wonderful and sweet idea. I've been very blessed with the opportunities I've had. Sometimes I think about things, and you never know what the next days are going to bring, but I will say that there's been a few things I've had to learn lately, a few things been taken care of, but I know that things just kind of get under control the best they can. My PayPal dispute that I've been telling you about in some other videos, it's been closed today, so apparently there wasn't much they could do about that, turns out. And this comes to the point where, you kind of take the other tusk and do the same as you did with the first one. Make sure that the curve on the outside of the tusk is going inward, and you will sew along this, and this line, it's going to come out fine once you do it. I feel like we're kind of getting little things taken care of here. So what you do is pull along that line, go to the middle of the tusk, and with this one there is something else you're going to do as you go further along it. You are going to, well, I tell you, I got it out now. It already got sewn all the way through. I'm going to have to catch it so that it doesn't fall completely out. So we've got to take care of this little thing, but we're going to sew towards the middle now. And once you sew towards the middle, you will also notice there is going to be a place where the tops of the tusks are going to join, and you're going to finish sewing all along the line to this one, and then you are going to move on to the other tusk. So that is how this is going to work, how it's going to go, but we got to take care of this the best we can, all we can. And I'd say this little line comes along and makes its way through here, and I say that these little tusks are going to come along fine, and we join them together by sewing along this line. And so that's how that will go. Probably can't wait till one day I can get some assistance to help me do videos and be able to be a little more instructional in them, have a little more better close-ups of the steps. But this is where we're coming along on this. We're going to go back to the middle of this tusk and try to sew all the way out to the other edge, and that is what we're going to do, sew along to the edge here. And sure enough, when we do, we're more than likely going to come back to the middle of the whole thing and sew another line along. And I say this is just going to be a little ways of how we are to do things. Make it all special and nice. It's going to be a good sentiment to somebody. Somebody's going to grow old and still have this to show and say, this was made out of my grandmother's clothes. I tell you, my grandmother had a lot of old clothes too, and so did a lot of my great-grandparents, but when they died, it got split up among the family members. It went to Goodwill. We didn't really have crafts made out of them. So I think it's special these days that that kind of thing can actually work. There's a little line that comes along next. Next, you take one side of the muzzle, and then you take the outside of the tusk. Make sure that when you line the tusk up with the muzzle, that try to make it so it comes out the right way. And to do that, make sure that the curve on the outside of the tusk is going the same correction as the curve of the muzzle. So that way when you sew it out, you're going to have both sides of the tusk going in the same direction, and you will be able to sew them together. And so start from the middle on that piece, take it further on, tie the knot in the middle, sew along that, and then you're just going to make it come out right and just make it come through and through. Oh, I'll tell y'all, people, we all just work our little ways about doing things. I'm going to try to sew along on this, and there's going to come a time when later in the project, when you start sewing the two sides of the muzzle together, you're going to stitch it along to each piece that is to the tab of the tusk to make sure that you are holding all of it together. And once you do, you're going to get the work to come along in it and make it so much nicer the way it's going to turn out. And there's going to come a step where later on you're going to, as soon as we get finished with this, sew the side of the muzzle onto the side of the walrus's body. So this is something that, since we got a knot in the thread, we're going to have to come back and just tie around that knot just to make sure that we don't have any thread sticking out or going further, or have any that's going to pull out or come undone to mess up the whole project. So I'd say we're just going to get back to this, sew back to the middle, and additionally you may even want to kind of sew a little bit further on, even past the starting point when you come back, because that'll probably kind of make sure that it is assured to stay in the place where it needs to be. And we got the work to come along here. I say that, you know, probably there's going to come a time when you can repeat the same step with the other side of the muzzle, but we won't go that far in the video because we're going to try to kind of take our time a little bit here, try to make it come out a little better here and there. So I say that we work along this and work along that, and at this point we're coming to the point where we do this. Make sure that when you get to the top of the muzzle, that the back of the muzzle and the back of the head are still both sticking out, and make sure that the muzzle and the head from the insides, or from the outsides or insides, whatever you want to call it, are facing each other. You want to have the line you drew on the outside so that you can make sure you are getting the better part of the denim to show on the outside of the project once you get it done. So we're going to sew along this line in here, and there's probably another one I've done here. We're probably going to go along that one to try to show what all the next steps should be. And there's one that's been partially done in some parts where most of this work has already been done on it, what I'm demonstrating in here, and probably will take that one out to demonstrate the rest of the steps. So as we come along here, this is where we're going to go. Don't even know yet how long I'll plan to make this video be, but the way it's going to turn out, it's going to be for the good and for the better. So you may even miss the line here and there, but try to keep it between the lines and make sure it'll come out good. Sometimes when you go a little bit too fast, like I might go a little bit too fast when I'm really trying to demonstrate something, and that's one of the places where it'll come out wrong. But once you get done, you kind of make a knot in the place just to kind of make the stopping point there. And perhaps I will say there's probably one more thing we'll have here to demonstrate, and that will be the sewing on of the fin to the underside. Of course, you may note that the underside of the fin is the same color as the underside of the body, but there is a reason why you cut them separate, because they are like separate shapes. You kind of have to kind of make little angles to make sure you sew them on the right way. So I'm going to demonstrate with one fin here, probably do the other fin sometime off of camera, because there's a way to do it. But you know, you take what is like the triangular part of the fin and put it up towards the neck, and you sew those two pieces together. I've got it on the wrong side here, so I'll have to kind of turn it a little bit vice versa here, make it go to the other side, and we're going to try to sew along on that, make that little line come through just freaking the right way. I tell you, we got a little line there, and I tell you, we're going to come along that for what might be the time this video is taken. We might not stay on here very long. There's other parts to this project we might do on another video that we might have enough time left just to demonstrate the sewing of the fin, but that might be about as far as we will go for this video. Try to keep them short if you can. That is, the video, that is. And first of all, I'm kind of sewing along this line here. Well, apparently I got the thread to come out again, so I'm going to have to sew it through again, make the knot all over again, try to get it in the right way, the way it needs to be, the way it should be. And so by the work we do, the work we've done, I say that little work shall come a ways, and this time around we're going to kind of make sure the fin goes all right. is just going to be a thing where the work shall be done and make it come true and good. Sometimes when we come down to these, we're not going to know which order they were sewn in, which was the first, which was the second, which one was the one demonstrated in the video, but they're all going to be special because they're all going to just be made a certain way. I am just hoping more than likely that to the same people these walruses go out to, that same family, that this video may also just always be of a good sentiment to them, and for wherever it goes, whether it be YouTube or anywhere else it goes in the future, that this will be a thing that can always be cherished in life. We know we have good possessions on earth, but good possessions on earth are not going to last for eternity. The fact of the matter is that wherever we spend eternity, whatever is here on earth, we can't take it with us. We know that of all things we can't take with us, there are certain things we can. People that we win to the Lord, souls that we win to Jesus and to the kingdom of heaven, the friends we win and get to take to heaven with us. That's among the things we get to take with us. It makes you think about when Don Francisco sang that song where there was that verse that said, "When at last the book of life is open and the accounts of all your servants have been shown," he said, "Lord, let me bring somebody with me and stand before my friends, stand with all my friends before the throne." You know, that shall be a wonderful day for us all. What a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see, when I look upon his face, one who saved me by his grace, when he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. There's been the days I sung those old hymns, played them on my guitar. Don't hardly bring those instruments out or sing as much as I used to, but I say that there's been things in life that we know they kind of come, they go, and I've just always learned that I was just kind of much better gifted to do this art. As I learn over time, little things like these little projects, they will come in handy to you at the right time of year. I just can't wait until I just see or hear how it's going to be when that wonderful family and all those good grandchildren are going to get their presents. Get these little walruses that are made out of their grandmother's clothing. I mean, I tell you one thing, they may not always remember me, but these things I say shall always be of good sentiment to them. I know there's going to come times in my life when I won't be around forever. I won't always be on the earth to stay around and be here for people, and I'd say if anything, you know, I could sure hope that whenever I die, anything anybody got from me that was handmade, it could probably be a monument of me to kind of sit in their house or wherever they're going to be. I say that this little project we got came along on it, and finally the fin is sewn into place. So there's probably going to come a time when I'm going to come on here to make the next video part of this series, but the work we've done today is pretty much going to sum up this video, and all the work we will do for the future is going to come along with it too. There's a day when we have to end the things, and right now this is just a moment in time when we have to end the video. As soon as I get feeling better and get my little break, I'll be back on. Probably not today, don't know when it'll be, depending on how I feel later. Maybe today, if anything, but sometime I'm going to get back on and demonstrate how we sew the rest of it together once all the muzzles and fins and everything are sewn onto the pieces the way they need to be. Take care and goodbye.